Last little piece, the importance of knowledge transfer. Train your people. Train your people. Train your people. Treat your trainers well. Feed them regularly. Give them lots of coffee. This is what we live on. Good stuff. All right, so with knowledge transfer, I want you to remember that really the goal here is to modify behavior. Training, and I know this kind of goes against what you hear, but training is not about raising awareness. Awareness doesn't help me. It doesn't help me avoid liability. Awareness is great, but only as it leads to a behavior change, right? If I conduct a training about social engineering and everybody's like, yeah, that was great. And then you walk out the door, log onto a system and leave, and then wander off and you've got an unlocked system. You let somebody follow you in on a card swipe. If you still do the same things that you do before training, well, then that training wasn't successful, right? As a matter of fact, if training is successful, it would not be unusual to see the number of reported incidents actually increase after training. You'd almost think it'd be the other way around, right? All of a sudden I'm telling people, don't do this, and then we get an increase. But the reason we might get an increase in incident reports is because folks now are aware that certain activity is prohibited, or at least strongly discouraged, and they know what the process is to report. So training often will bring a much higher awareness that has to lead to the change in behavior before it's really valid, before it's really helpful to us. So, people need to understand the policies. They also need to understand why. Why is very helpful. It's really important to get your team on your side, and giving them a list of thou shalt not do this or that or the other, that doesn't speak to people. Security always has a cost. It has a cost associated, sometimes many costs. Users are resistant to things that impact performance and slow things down. So help your users understand why we do the things that we do. I'm not by any stretch saying every security decision you make, you've got to go into detail with users. However, what we want to do is we want to kind of drop those barriers between the information security team. We want to open up conscious, transparent communication. We're all better off when that happens. So, of course, you can't follow the rules if you don't know them. We set up an agenda for training. We have expectations that we share. And I will also mention training is best when it's based on job description as opposed to one-size-fits-all training. Okay? So we want certain types of training for senior management. Now, if you think about what senior management might need from security training, think about things like liability, right? Due diligence, due care, culpable negligence, those big picture ideas that senior management's involved with. Regular users don't need anything technical. They just need to know how to choose good passwords and protect their systems. The technical team obviously needs much more detail. So one-size-fits-all training is not the way to go. We want to customize based on everybody's role within the organization. Okay? And overall, training gives you bang for the buck. If you can modify your employees' behavior, if you can educate and help them have the tools so that they can avoid falling for social engineering or making or contributing to other compromises, that's certainly worth doing. All right, like I said, we didn't have very much of Domain 1 left over. We covered a lot of information on Tuesday, so I just wanted to do a quick wrap up so that we can put Domain 1 to bed and we can move forward with Domain 2 in just a second. So I just want to remind you, we talked about governance on Monday or Tuesday. We said that's senior management, board of directors, that's your steering committee. They're responsible for ultimately having the long-term vision, the strategy. They're responsible for determining the framework of the organization, and then the security program fills in the gaps of how to accomplish the strategy. We talked about risk management, and we said risk management is the foundation of everything we do. As a matter of fact, before the security strategy is turned into a program, risk management happens. So we see this big strategy of where we want to be, but risk management's going to guide us and help us figure out the best way to be there, to get there, so that we can protect the assets of the organization. All right, and then we wrapped up with legal considerations and knowledge transfer, and that does chapter 1 for us, domain 1, which was information security governance and risk management. So I say let's go into chapter 2.